Hello there. Eurosceptic MPs and business leaders have given a letter to the PM calling on her to issue Brussels with a "talk trade or we walk" ultimatum. The letter, organised by Leave Means Leave and signed by such people as Lord Lawson, Owen Paterson, John Redwood, Jacob Rees-Mogg, Graham Stringer, JD Wetherspoon pub chief Tim Martin and entrepreneur and Labour Leave founder John Mills, says that the PM must now set red line rules with the EU at her crunch meeting with the EU Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker tomorrow. The letter accuses the EU negotiators of acting in a manner sadly unbecoming of an international body, and of demanding vast sums of money from the UK but declining to set out what the UK will get in return. The letter also sets out a series of demands that the EU should meet before we go any further and before any money is handed over. These include a no-tariff free trade deal agreed in principle by next March, the ending of all ECJ jurisdiction in the UK on Brexit Day, allowing the UK to negotiate deals around the world during any transition period, free movement to end on Brexit Day, and an agreement on the Irish border question. If the EU refuses to agree to these terms by the end of the December Council, says the letter, the UK, having exhausted every avenue, should suspend its participation in the negotiations and inform the EU that, unless they are prepared to talk to us seriously about a future free trade arrangement, we will revert to World Trade Organisation terms from March the 30th, 2019. Theresa May has also been warned in another letter not to accept any deal that allows the ECJ to continue to bind UK courts. Former Court of Appeal Judge Sir Richard Akins said in a letter seen by the Telegraph that any such arrangement would be tantamount to reversing the result of the 2016 referendum. Sir Richard, who is the president of the Eurosceptic group Lawyers for Britain, says that any agreement between the UK and EU on the future of EU citizens living in the UK would be covered by a bilateral treaty. He goes on to say that there is no current international agreement that he knows of where a state has agreed to be bound by the rulings of another. If the ECJ were given the exclusive right, he wrote, to interpret the proposed UK-EU treaty in relation to EU citizens' rights to enter and stay in the UK, the right of the UK to control UK borders and the rights of all citizens who lived in the UK would be lost forever. That would be tantamount to reversing the result of the 2016 referendum. The Tory MP Ian Duncan Smith, writing in the Telegraph, added that anything that kept the door open to the ECJ having jurisdiction over EU nationals' rights in the UK would lead to mission creep that would see the ECJ power extend further into the affairs of the UK again. And he is of course right. This is exactly what the Remain side would like to see, and is therefore something to ensure is cut off at source on Brexit Day. And in an internal warning shot, the Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt has come out in support of Theresa May and, in what the Independent calls an unprecedented warning, he told ITV's Peston on Sunday that unless the Tory party MPs don't back the PM, then Brexit will not happen. I think there's an even bigger point here, that the choice we face now is not between this Brexit or that Brexit. If we don't back Theresa May, we will have no Brexit, and she is doing an unbelievably challenging job amazingly well, he said. Unpredictably, the Lib Dem leader Vince Cable has jumped on these words as meaning that Brexit can be reversed, and he reiterated his call for a second in-out referendum. It is encouraging to see a senior cabinet minister admit that the option of an exit from Brexit is still on the table, he said. As the impact of Brexit becomes clear, From the £50 billion divorce bill to years of lower living standards, it's crucial people have the final say over whether to accept what's on offer or stay in the EU. What he of course fails to point out is that the EU we voted to leave just over a year ago is now morphing into an entirely different beast that now has open federalist superstate ambitions far beyond those of even a few months ago. And these will not be attractive to the UK public however he tries to spin it. And after berating the Leave campaign for talking about £350 million a week for the NHS, our dear Vince has now stated that if we stay in the EU, we could get an extra £300 million a week for the NHS. So what he's trying to suggest is that if we now just go back to how things were, then we'd magically have more money to spend on the NHS. Even though, as I pointed out in yesterday's video, our net payments to the EU would actually be rocketing up as of next year and the year after. Maybe Vince has got a magic money tree too. And the best summing up of the day is from a piece in The Sun on Sunday that calls for Theresa May to show us the fire in her belly over Brexit, and says, "Those pushing for the Prime Minister to walk away from talks if we don't see compromise from the EU are bang on. It may be the festive season, but we've been generous enough with Brussels and received barely a sprout in return." So, let us know what you think about the Brexit ultimatum by leaving a comment below. Thank you. Please do like and share this video, and also subscribe to my channel. And when subscribing, please do remember to press on the little bell next to the subscribe button. That way you'll get an alert every single time I put up a new video. Thank you very much for watching.